Hi guys, this is George back here with another video and welcome to another top 10 countdown where today I'm going to be talking all about my top 10 defunct roller coasters that I was able to ride. So the last top 10 video I counted down my top 10 defunct coasters that I wish I got to ride. However, today I'm going to be turning that around and I'm going to be looking at the ones that I did get to ride today. Now, to be honest, most of the roller coasters that I've ridden are still in operation, so there weren't very many contenders for this list. However, there was enough to make a top 10 video, and I'm going to be talking through this list today. So if you guys have any thoughts about this, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are there other roller coasters that you put above here? Maybe there are some roller coasters that you did get to ride that I didn't get to ride that you would put on this list. Maybe you didn't get to ride some of these rides. So yeah, let me know what defunct coasters you really enjoyed that you got to ride in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear what you think. But let's go and get straight into number 10. Coming in at number 10, we have Scorpion at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay in Florida. This was a Schwarzkopf looping coaster, and this was only announced to close a few months ago. It closed in September, I believe. So yeah, it wasn't that long ago that this ride was taken down. It had one inversion on here. It was a short ride, and I only got to ride it once. And I didn't really enjoy it. However, because, as I was saying, there's not many contenders for this top 10 list, then this came up on the list because I preferred it to a couple of other defunct roller coasters that I was able to ride. However, I did see potential in this ride. Now, another Schwarzkopf looping coaster I've ridden is Olympia Looping. Towards the back, I found that very rough. At the front, I find it much smoother. However, with Scorpion, I only got to ride it once towards the back. So I'm thinking maybe it would have been smoother towards the front. Even if it wasn't smoother towards the front, it was still intense. It only had a lap bar on there. It didn't have those shoulder restraints that Olympia Looping has, so it was much more comfortable. It had a very intense inversion on there. The loop was really good. And whether it's rough or not, it's sad to see another Schwarzkopf go. Of course, Schwarzkopf are no longer in business. They're no longer making roller coasters. So every time we see one of these roller coasters close, that's a step closer to there being no Schwarzkopf roller coasters left in existence, and we're never going to see any operate again. So as much as it wasn't my favourite ride, I did see potential, and it is still sad to see the numbers of these Schwarzkopf roller coasters going down. Coming in at number 9, we have GForce at Drayton Manor. Now, the reason this one is being placed higher than Scorpion is because I was able to get more rides on it. And this was a weird one for me. I rode it 3 times in 2017. My first ride, I really enjoyed it. The second ride, it was okay. The third ride, it was absolutely awful. My first ride on it was better than the only ride I got on Scorpion. However, the final ride I got on it was way worse than the ride I had on Scorpion. The problem with this ride was the restraints. They were very uncomfortable, very bulky. It was a really uncomfortable lap bar that really dug into your waist. And with some of the elements on this ride, you got a lot of hang time on it, and that made it really uncomfortable in some cases. The first ride I had on it, my restraint was fairly loose, but the third ride, it was really tight and completely unenjoyable. So yeah, the reason why I'm placing this one above Scorpion is because I did have a good experience on this ride, whereas with Scorpion, I didn't have a good experience on it. I feel like I would have if I got to re-ride it, but I didn't, and I'm never going to know. But with GForce, I do know. I got a good ride and I got an awful ride. It could be good, it could be bad. However, it's gone now. It was removed in 2018. It was replaced by the Wave Swinger, and to be honest, it doesn't fit what the park are going for now. They're going for a much more family-friendly audience. But it was a unique ride, and I did enjoy having such a unique ride in the UK. And the first ride I had in it, I did really enjoy it. Coming in at number 8, we have Scorpion Express at Chessington World of Adventures. This was a Mack Rides powered coaster, and it closed a couple of years ago. So back in 2022, there was a fire on this ride, and ever since then, it's been standing but not operating. It's always been believed that it was going to come back. I've always been sceptical about whether it's going to come back. However, recently, only a few weeks ago, it was confirmed it was going to close down permanently, and it's going to be replaced by a new junior roller coaster. But yeah, this coaster was actually really good fun. It was only a small coaster, however, it was smooth, it was comfortable, it was enjoyable, and it had some great theming on there. The theming was really, really good on Scorpion Express. I did really enjoy it, and as much as I've already talked about some bigger rides on this list, I didn't enjoy those as much as I did with this one. And to be honest, the theming was a big part of this one, going around seeing all the theming. There was a fire effect on there as well, which was really cool. It was nice and smooth. It was a really good fun ride, and it was a good fit at Chessington. And since that removal, there hasn't really been anything on that kind of scale at Chessington. Like, their smallest coaster now is probably Vampire. So yeah, it's good to see that a new junior coaster will be coming in to replace this, but it was still sad to see this go. Coming in at number 7, we have the Scary Toys Factory at Legendia in Poland. Very different theme for this ride, however, I did enjoy it. It was one of those Zyklon Galaxy roller coasters. You see them a lot on the travelling fair circuit, and you'll see them at a lot of different smaller amusement parks as well. Like a lot of seaside parks tend to have these kind of rides. It was a good fun ride. It had a good couple of drops on there, some helixes. It wasn't a particularly long ride, however, it was smooth, it was enjoyable. The brakes were quite sharp on there, I do remember, but that's just a problem with all these rides really. But overall, I did still enjoy it. There wasn't really anything wrong with it. It was a fun ride, however, it was nothing special. But of course, there aren't many roller coasters that I've ridden that are defunct, so this had to come up on the list somewhere, with it being one that I actually did enjoy. So there we go, number 7, Scary Toys Factory at Legendia. It's a shame that this one went, because Legendia have been removing quite a lot of their rides recently. Coming in at number 6, we have Sequoia Adventure at Gardaland, one of only 3 S&S Screamin' Squirrels ever built. This was a very unique ride, and it wasn't the most exciting in terms of layouts, and it's a very well-known ride, and this is probably going to be quite a controversial opinion for people that went on it, because a lot of people found these rides really uncomfortable. However, for me, I didn't mind it. I actually had quite a good time on this ride. I rode it a couple of times back in 2016, a few years before it closed. And it was a unique ride. So of course you start off by going up the lift hill, and then you go into a saxophone element. So you start off just going, it's kind of like a Wild Mouse coaster, but instead of switching left and right, you're starting off the right way up, and then you're flipping upside down. You're going forwards, upside down into like a beyond vertical drop, but then you just go along a straight piece of track upside down, and then you flip back into an upright position, and then you just do that a couple times. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, then I understand, because it's kind of difficult to explain. Just look up a video about it. It's Sequoia Adventure at Gardaland with that saxophone element. Really unique. It didn't build up loads of speed, however the hang time on there was really good fun. I had a good time on this ride. A lot of people found it uncomfortable. The restraints weren't the most comfortable, but that's not a this ride kind of thing. That was an S&S problem, to be honest, because those kind of restraints are on a lot of S&S coasters and flat rides as well. But this one, I did actually have a pretty good time on Sequoia Adventure, and it was pretty sad to see this go. It was a unique ride as well, so it's always sad seeing a unique ride go. Even if it was terrible, it would be sad to see a unique ride go. Here we go then, coming in at number 5, probably another controversial one here. However, the key to this one is I only had one ride on it, and it was a long time ago. Maybe if I got to ride it closer to its demise, then I would have maybe found it more uncomfortable. But this is Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. I rode this in 2018. I only had the one ride on it. It was a B&M stand-up coaster, and it had actually been relocated. It used to operate at Kentucky Kingdom when that was owned by Six Flags. But then when that park closed down, they moved this coaster over to Six Flags Great Adventure, where it reopened as Green Lantern in 2011, and it only closed down, well, I say it closed down a few weeks ago. No announcement or anything until the ride had already been closed, as we're going to see with a couple of these rides coming up on the list. Maybe even another one at the same park. But yeah, Green Lantern, it was a stand-up coaster. I had lots of inversions on there. It was an intense ride. I do remember it being very intense. And sure, it was a little bit rough. However, a lot of people say that these stand-up coasters, they're much more uncomfortable for tall people Bear in mind, back in 2018, I was much shorter than I am now. So maybe if I went on it now, I would think differently of it. However, back in 2018, I actually found it quite enjoyable. It was intense, it was fairly smooth, not the most smooth ride, there was still a bit of headbanging, but it wasn't awful, and I did have an enjoyable time on it. It was a good ride, I did enjoy it, but yeah, I have heard from a lot of people, especially over the last couple of years, that it has been getting really rough and really uncomfortable. So it would have been interesting to see what I thought to it if I got to ride it again. Coming in at number 4, we have Skyways at Clarence Pier. This is another one of those rides like Scary Toys Factory at Legendia. However, the main reason why this one places quite high up on my list is because this was my first roller coaster. So this originally closed in 2020, and according to RCDB, it was always planned to come back. However, it never did. It was replaced by another ride that was quite similar, which is still there now. However, yeah, this one never came back. So this was a good fun ride, don't get me wrong, it was a good fun ride. But the main reason why it's as high on this list as it is because it was my first coaster. It would still be on this list if it wasn't my first coaster. However, it would be more around the area where Scary Toys Factory was. This was a better ride, however. It would probably be on the spot above that. But with this being my first roller coaster, it has a very sentimental attachment to me. Of course, it was right next to the water as well. You're going up the lift hill, you could look over towards the sea, look over to the right and see all the rest of the rides at Clarence Pier. It was a really good fun ride. I had loads of rides on it over the years. I don't live too far away from Clarence Pier, so it was easy for me to get to. I went there a lot and I got loads of rides on it. The first time I went on it, I absolutely hated it. But then when I went back on it a few years later, I really enjoyed it once I started to like roller coasters a bit more. But yeah, this was my first roller coaster, and it's a shame to see that this never opened again at Clarence Pier. Coming in at number 3, we have Wicked Twister at Cedar Point, an Intamin Impulse coaster. So this closed a few years ago. It was 2022, I think this closed, or 2023. It might, not 2023, 2021, sorry. I rode this coaster in 2018. And that was the first and last time I rode it. I went on it quite a few times when I was at Cedar Point. I must have ridden it about 4 or 5 times, and I really enjoyed this ride. So it was a suspended coaster. It had a launch on there. It was a multi-pass launch. You'd launch forward, go up a spike, launch backwards, and then you'd keep going back and forth up these 2 twisted spikes. It was a really good fun ride. The launch was punchy. I really enjoyed the sensation of spiralling round, especially while being suspended under the track as well. It was a really unique ride. And I did really enjoy this. I was sad when I saw that this was going to be getting removed. It was replaced by the boardwalk section that's now there and that new Zamperla Wild Mouse coaster that's there. However, this was always a good fun ride. I did really enjoy Wicked Twister, and it's a shame to see that these rides are becoming a bit more of a dying breed now. Coming in at number 2, we have King Decar at Six Flags Great Adventure. What was the world's tallest roller coaster. This was an Intamin hydraulic launch roller coaster, and I don't even really know what to say about this ride. I could keep talking about this ride for absolutely ages. I went on this ride for the first time in 2018. This was my first roller coaster outside of Europe. It was a massive deal for me when I got to ride this for the first time. I was so excited to go and ride this ride. We got to Six Flags Great Adventure, and I remember we went in and we went running straight down to King Decar, and I remember there were some other people running as well, and I remember my dad was shouting back at me going, "Don't let them get there first." It's like, we needed to get there first, and we did get there first as well. We were literally the first people in that queue that day. We got straight on the front row, first train of the day, and it was absolutely incredible. It was a sensation that I'd never experienced before, launching from 0 to 128 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds. It was absolutely insane. When this coaster first opened back in 2005, it opened as the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster. Of course, in 2010, the fastest roller coaster record was taken from it. However, up until its closure, it had always been the world's tallest roller coaster ever since it opened. And it was really sad to see this go. Of course, what made this even worse was the fact that there was no announcement from Six Flags until the ride had already closed. There were enthusiasts warning people, go and get your last rides while you can. And then on November 10th, that was its final day of operation, and then about a week or 2 later, they announced it was never going to reopen again. It was really sad. I wish I could have got to go and ride King Decar again. I went on it 4 times, I believe, when I was there in 2018, across the 2 days I was there. It was an incredible ride. The speed of it, the wind blowing in your face on the front row. It wasn't the smoothest ride, don't get me wrong. However, it was still powerful. It was incredible, and it was really sad to see this roller coaster get removed. And coming in at number 1, a ride that's very similar to King Decar, and that is Top Thrill Dragster, an Intamin hydraulic launch coaster that opened in 2003. And this was the first full circuit roller coaster to reach 400 feet, the world's first official full circuit strata coaster. And this was an incredible ride. Very similar layout to King Decar. Of course, you'd launch forwards, up a massive top hat, spiral down the drop, and then instead of going into an airtime hill like you did on King Decar, it was just a straight piece of track. However, the reason why I preferred this one a little bit to King Decar was because it had lap bars. King Decar was quite rough, and it had these over-the-shoulder restraints, which meant there was a bit headbangy. Top Thrill Dragster, just a lap bar on there. It was so smooth, so comfortable. Again, launching from 0 to 120 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds. So not quite as fast as King Decar. However, to be honest, I didn't really notice much of a difference in terms of the launch. I did get to ride this in the front row. I had a lot more rides on this one than I did on King Decar. I think I went on this one about 10 times while I was there across the 2 days. So I got lots of experience with it. It was incredible. The launch was amazing. The spiral was amazing coming down that drop, and the force of this ride was absolutely insane. Of course, it closed back in 2021. It had loads of maintenance problems. It had always been a maintenance problem for Cedar Point. I remember after this ride first opened, well, I don't remember it from when it actually happened, but I remember hearing about it, especially once it got closed. But the CEO of Cedar Fair at the time said that it was his dumbest decision ever putting that ride into Cedar Point and building this ride because of how problematic it was. It had so many problems. I remember every time I was at Cedar Point, every time it was open, I would run to it to go and get another ride because it was closed for a lot of the time while I was at Cedar Point. But whenever it was open, I literally bolted straight to the ride and got on it. And I had fast track as well, so at some points I'd get like 2 or 3 rides round on it, or just going round really quickly in like 15 minutes. So that was brilliant. It was an incredible ride. It was sad to see it go. It was remade into Top Thrill 2. Of course, it's now got a swing launch, manufactured by Zampala. It's got a 420-foot spike on there. That only opened for 8 days, and it's been closed ever since. So I'd love to go and ride Top Thrill 2, because some people say it's even better than Top Thrill Dragster. I loved Top Thrill Dragster. It was a top 10 roller coaster for me for a very long time, and it's a real shame to see that roller coaster went. However, I do look forward to the day where I get to go and ride Top Thrill 2. So there we go, there is my top 10 defunct roller coasters list that I got to ride. I really enjoyed all of these rides, apart from the couple towards the bottom, whereas I think they have potential. I enjoyed some rides on GForce and not some. Scorpion, I feel like I could have enjoyed that if I got to ride it more. However, it's a shame I didn't. But with all these rides, it's sad to see a roller coaster go after you have so many memories with it. Sometimes you get to ride them, sometimes you don't. And when you do get to ride them, it is sad seeing a roller coaster go, but of course we can still look back on all the memories that we had with this ride, like with King Decar and Top Thrill Dragster. I'll always remember those memories of when I was riding them, and I'll always kind of really look back really fondly on them. They were some of the best memories I've ever had in a theme park. I really enjoyed that. It's amazing to be able to look back on those memories. It's just a shame that I didn't get to ride them for one last time, but I am really grateful that I was able to ride them. I know a lot of people weren't. Let me know what roller coasters you'd put on this list. What roller coasters did you ride that are no longer in operation? What roller coasters do you wish you rode that are no longer in operation? Let me know. But that is now the end of this video here. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at George Kelly and follow me on Twitter at George Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.